We are back with our storyteller Mark England, who will now explain in more detail how a legal situation in the USA and American lawyers influenced his life in Switzerland and his work at the University of Basel. Mr. England, please let me make sure that I understand correctly. During the time that you lived in Switzerland and complied with Swiss law, that is from 2004 until today, you are accused of violating American law for threatening a police chief and a judge. And thus, you have an Interpol warrant issued today, but for actions deemed legal in Switzerland?
Yes, your statement is correct, but there is no evidence that I violated American law. I stand accused, which serves public relations efforts by the people I expose in my publications and the video. In fact, the parsing of language that I employed when I communicated with the police chief and the use of provocation are strategies that are used and legal for American law enforcement, and they are also approved by U.S. courts. If I were to defend myself in an American courtroom, I would state that I used the same tactics of intimidation that U.S. police use against criminals. I contend that I can prove that the people I expose fall in the category of criminals. Of course, American law enforcement is not very happy to have me proclaim this.
So, considering the background that you have given us, what difficulties have you encountered here in Switzerland?
Officially, as I said, none at all. Swiss authorities have acted rationally and generously. But as you can imagine, the more popular Google has become, the less social contact and the more difficult my life has become. People believe what they read.
So your colleagues in Switzerland and America, when they discovered the accusations on Google, became suspicious and considered you to be a criminal hiding his bad past. And then the support and trust that you needed disappeared?
Accusations coming from authorities such as the legal system, they're powerful and influence people. In my favor, it is becoming common knowledge that the American legal system is broken and not infrequently corrupt. But I was and am held with suspicion wherever I go. I do not generally get the benefit of the doubt. I am used to that by now. In response, I had to write a book and produce a short film just to protect myself.
You worked at the University of Basel. What did you do there, and with reference to the background you have given, how did the accusations affect you?
I began working at the University of Basel in early 2010. My personal relations there were outstandingly positive. I edited scientific papers, contributing to a significant increase in publications. My work was appreciated and a great benefit to the young scientists and students there. Also, I initiated programs that explained science to the public in new and successful forms. For example, I organized the first and subsequent University of Basel Science Slams. I initiated the Weltenreise program that presents University of Basel science research to the public, which was successful and continues today. And I started a new science podcast site called sciencetime.unibas.ch, which gave researchers a platform to speak to the public about their scientific work.
Well, you appear to have conducted a busy and productive schedule. What happened after the internet information became known?
At the start of 2012, the positive atmosphere began to change. A person who worked in communications for the university discovered the Interpol notice on the internet. He distributed photocopies at an official university meeting without my knowledge. From that point forward, I was marginalized. That was the start of what I would say fits the definition of mobbing. Administration, that is the rectorate, did not clarify the situation for my co-workers. After that, the University of Basel Media Department, known actually correctly as Marketing and Communications, distanced themselves from me. They refused to pay me for work that I had already completed for a Science Slam presentation. The head of media did not want me employed there.
Having such accusations float around surely impacted your work environment. Were you given an opportunity to explain your unusual circumstances to anyone?
Yes, we had a meeting, 2 responsible professors and I. I complained in person and in writing about information being passed around my workplace without my knowledge and without my ability to defend myself. They asked me questions, and I clarified the situation to their satisfaction. After that, one of the professors phoned the media department and informed them that the issue was settled. Unfortunately, things did not improve.
I know we are conjecturing, but what do you think motivated the distribution of the Interpol note at that meeting?
His motivation should be for him to explain. I had heard, however, from his supervisor that he relished being top dog in science communications and that my successes were seen as a threat. I had indeed brought changes to how science was being communicated to the public, and those changes had rapidly enhanced my profile.
You have already told me that you were very motivated to succeed at the University of Basel. Please tell our audience why doing well and starting the public science projects was so important to you.
My work at the University of Basel was just wonderful. It gave me a chance to redeem myself in the eyes of Google. There was a massive amount of negative, false information put on the internet about me by US lawyers. I wanted to prove that this information was false. The best way to do that was to work hard for the university. My name appeared in acknowledgments of science papers in prestigious journals. Suddenly, I had German television interviewing me for producing the first University of Basel Science Slam, and I had public success with the Weltenreise program. What I had not counted on was a backlash of envy from people who felt threatened at the university and how effective the US lawyers were at influencing the university.
Putting yourself in the position of the media department, weren't they justifiably concerned about the Interpol problem and your criminal status in America?
Indeed they were. It was a natural concern, but it was handled poorly and possibly illegally according to Swiss workplace rules. As soon as the information circulated, I offered to help acquire my legal records from the USA, as well as my Swiss legal records, to prove my claims. The rectorate, however, never reacted to my offer. Instead, the media department began shunning me and, as I said, they refused to pay for work I had already completed. Furthermore, based on the circulated information, my contract with the chemistry department was suddenly canceled, but I was asked to continue working without a contract. It was clear that people benefited from my work, but my name had become a liability. To encourage me to leave the university, I was also informed that a journalist wanted to do a story about me and that he had approached university media to interview me. Apparently, the media department thought that I was hiding information, that I was, in fact, a criminal hiding in Switzerland, and that I would fear the exposure. The opposite was the case. I wanted to tell my story. When we asked for the name of the journalist so that we could contact him or her, however, suddenly he or she vanished. Media refused to provide a name. Later, I learned that the journalist had actually been called in by media. Applying pressure on me seems to have been the only purpose.
What you are telling us is difficult to imagine. What proof would you offer our audience to support what you have just told us?
Well, through email communications. But there is much more. Faced with not being paid for work that I had done successfully, and threatened by a journalist who then suddenly vanished, I contacted the Ombuds Mediation Committee for the University of Basel. They are a group of emeritus professors who mediate disputes for the university. I complained about unethical conduct, about media calling in a journalist to intimidate me, and about the failure to pay me.
Were you more successful with the Ombuds Committee?
My time at the University of Basel was marked by extreme contrasts. I found the best of people and the opposite. The Ombuds Committee, thankfully, fits the former category. They listened, they were respectful, and they kept their word. After reviewing evidence, including my Swiss criminal record and the successful work that I had done for the university, they decided that I should be awarded a contract. At a meeting in early 2012, they convinced the head of media, against his strenuous objections, to give me a contract and to pay for the past work done.
Let us give our listeners a chance to digest this information. When we come back in part 3, we will discuss what happened after the Ombuds Committee ruled in your favor.